Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Some Sadducees, who say that there is no resurrection, came to Jesus and put this question to him, saying, "Teacher, Moses wrote for us, if someone's brother dies leaving a wife but no child, his brother must take the wife and raise up descendants for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers. The first married a woman and died, leaving no descendants. So the second brother married her and died, leaving no descendants. And the third likewise, and the 7 left no descendants. Last of all, the woman also died. At the resurrection, when they arise, whose wife will she be? For all 7 had been married to her." Jesus said to them, "Are you not misled because you do not know the Scriptures or the power of God? When they rise from the dead, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but they are like angels in heaven. As for the dead being raised, have you not read in the book of Moses, in the passage about the bush, how God told him, 'I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob'? He is not God of the dead, but of the living. You are greatly misled." The Gospel of the Lord. Of course, in the Gospel passage, the Sadducees did not believe in the resurrection. That's why they're so sad, you see. Okay. And so I just want to look at this for a minute, the resurrection. You see in the book of Tobit from our first reading, Sarah, Tobiah, Tobit, and Raguel, they're all depressed because they didn't understand resurrection at that time. So they had no hope. Where else do we go? And then what would be the purpose of living? And so I might as well die. Some of you at Holy Family, maybe you'll read things like by Albert Camus and Jean-Paul Sartre, and maybe you'll hear a little bit more about this. Do they learn about this stuff? No? Well, maybe you will in philosophy in college. But it's a very pessimistic existence. And yet as Catholics, we believe in the resurrection. Why? Because we have an understanding that there is more. There's more. And it's good. And it's worth it. And so what happens is, if I could briefly go along, one of the interesting seeming contradictions about the resurrection was pointed out to me by one of my nieces when she was about 5 years old. When my dad, her grandfather, died, he was there, he was laying in the bed, he had died, and she says to her dad, my brother, says, "Daddy, how could Pepe be in heaven but he's still here?" It's an interesting question. And so, of course, my brother taps me on my shoulder and he says, "You're the priest, take care of that one." Because what happens is the body dies and it goes through decay. This is a consequence of sin. This is not what God intended. He never intended us to get disease and die. And yet sin invites corruption, and it invades and infects the body. And so this happens. At death, the body is there, and the soul immediately goes and is judged. Okay? And so you don't immediately go to heaven or hell. You go to judgment first. Now, if you've lived a good life, and of course Jesus says, I am the resurrection and the life. And so we rise because of Jesus, and we rise in and through Jesus. So Christ in us, we rise from the dead, and we first rise to judgment, and we are assigned heaven, hell, or purgatory. Door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3. Okay? And so depending on how we cherished our faith and how we acted and cared for one another, that's going to have something to do with where we are assigned. If you don't believe in purgatory, I often get this, I don't believe in purgatory, Father. If you don't believe in purgatory, purgatory is the place where you take care of unfinished business. Like, if you forgave somebody but you still have some anger swirling around inside of you that you really can't resolve with them, but you really want to forgive them, can that anger go to heaven? No. That has to be taken care of. Purgatory is an experience that God gives you to take care of things like that and maybe other things. But it's a place where the details are worked out so that you can go to heaven. If you don't believe in purgatory, you have my sympathies, because the alternative is not pretty. We may be judged to go to heaven, and we also may be judged to go to, And at that point, so the soul rises, is judged, and then the soul is assigned. And what we believe that at the end of all time, the body will be raised and reconfigured according to the way God planned, and it will be reunited with the soul. Because in the Creed, we say in the Apostles' Creed, I believe in the resurrection of the body. Why is this important? You're not going to be a nebulous spirit hanging around in heaven. You're going to be a body. You are a person. Your body is your principle of individuality. It's how you represent yourself as a unique, loved, cherished, and beautiful individual person. And your body is what is designed to be with your soul, to give body a beautiful and personal form, to give your soul a beautiful and personal form, okay? And so God loves you and your uniqueness, so he's going to raise up your body, and we understand that at the end of time, the body and the soul will somehow be united. This is mysterious to us, and yet there it is. If you believe in reincarnation, that is not what our church teaches. It's not a belief that we should hold. And so if you want to believe in that, that's your business. And so if you do, you could end up being assigned to another life as a dog, constantly looking for fire hydrants. And if that's what you want, that's your business. But our church teaches, it says it in the letter of Paul, letter to the Hebrews, chapter 9, verse 27, that there is one life, and after that, judgment. One life. Reincarnation is a nice way of making yourself feel better about the life you're living that wasn't so great, and fooling yourself into thinking that you're going to press the reboot button and be able to start over, when in fact we are going to be held accountable for the things we say and do. Accountable for the good, we hope and pray, or accountable for the evil. Nevertheless, because of the beauty of the resurrection, then we have as St. Paul calls it, a sure and certain hope that there's more. And it doesn't end in 6 feet of dirt or ashes. It ends in the resurrection of the body, the glory of heaven, and the life of the world to come.
Regina Celi